Erwin, and now we would like to welcome our guest, Professor Huang from HUANG.
Hi.
Yes, he is an associate professor, and he's also a very outstanding entrepreneur in the e-learning field. Yeah, we take a selfie first.
Okay. We're ready. Can you see this up? Yeah. So give me a like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, then this is time for Professor Huang to give us a talk, and then after that we will have a Q&A session, and I really hope that today we can have more communication.
Okay, good. So should I start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let me get something to drink first. Usually how many people come?
Actually it's around 30. Yeah, but today maybe they are very busy for the exams, but I think more residents are coming.
Okay, good. So maybe help me a little bit with a show of hands. At least I know what school you are in. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What year? Is everybody undergrad? UG?
Everybody's
Everybody undergrad? Any graduates? You are?
Postgraduate.
Postgrad. Okay, one postgrad. Business school? Anybody from business? What in business?
Accounting.
Accounting?
Accounting.
Accounting? Oh, I actually have to talk about accounting. We'll come to that. What other school are you guys in from? Engineering?
Engineering.
So Professor Ray's group. CS? Anybody from CS?
I'm from EE.
EE, okay. CS? Any other engineering? Mechanical, yeah? Yeah? Biomedical, okay, yeah? Psychology, yes, we have social science here. Good. Anybody else from social science? Pure science?
I'm from finance.
Finance. So there's no social worker here. Okay, yeah, which is fine. I'll talk a little bit more about business and then how we actually deliver social impact and so on. So let's start. Maybe I'll start with a video.
自己都好希望佢利用呢個社會創新去應對貧富懸殊嘅呢個問題。呢幾年前咧，我創立咗有機上網呢個社會企業，就頭先大家講嘅就係有機可以上網啦，上咗網有機會啦，我希望藉住網絡啊，令到佢可以面上唔同嘅機遇啦、唔同嘅知識啦，社會唔再需要佢不停地去試車佢，反而咧佢自己有個上心去脱離貧窮，佢真係成功。我心目中嘅一個精神就正正係善用每個機會，找緊每個機遇，喺好有限嘅資源裏邊都可以發揮，都可以走到成功。
So, Professor Ray asked me to come and share a little bit because I understand there are many entrepreneurs, many researchers that actually came in to actually share with you. I will focus a little bit on innovation for good. So we'll talk a little bit about innovation, how innovation applies, and also I'll focus a little bit more on social innovation, where innovate, but also you actually are delivering social value to the society, to the world, and to save the earth, and so on. So all these are interesting things. Today I will actually share with multiple cases, some of the cases that I have done for the last 10 years or so, and then and some of the ideas, some of the model that we have done. Some are technology related, some might be business model related, some might be very economic related, so new economic model that's coming up. So we'll look into some of those to see how it works, and then potentially we can discuss a little bit about how innovation can actually be delivering good for the society, not just to build unicorns, not just to build very expensive startups and so on. So that's how we start. Okay, so basically I will come back to this theme again and again, and it's basically starting with why. So it's a very important theme that actually helps me to actually tie all my projects and all the projects together. And there are different, you look into it, we were in different industries, we were using different tools, we were using different technologies and things and so on. But at the end of the day, it's not just how you do it, it's actually why you do it. So by asking why you actually do it, why you're in that particular major, why you're doing that research, why you're learning these tools, you will actually tie things together and see how things get together over time. So that's an important factor. So let's start with one, which is this one. Okay. So about 20 some years ago, I actually helped Hong Kong to actually start a very famous social enterprise. At that point of time, 1995, before most of you were born, actually there's no such word as social enterprise. 1995 was the year that the browser Netscape starts. 1995 was the year that Amazon started. That was also the year that Peter Drucker, the father of management, actually created a term used in his last part of his life. So he had actually defined many management theory. One very important one is actually that managing is always to create extra value. The value can be money, the value can be value to society and management and so on. So he called it the word social entrepreneurship, which actually is now changing the whole world, taking the whole world by storm. You're not just an entrepreneur, you're actually delivering social value for the society. So at that point of time, we actually start this entity where what we do is very simple. We actually design a tool, which is at that point of time a small pendulum, and the pendulum is actually a small bell. So when you press the button, your home phone will actually become a speakerphone. So for the elderly that was at home, the single elderly at home, let's say I'm going to take a shower, but I slip. So I actually fall but nobody's there. Normally, if nobody's there for half an hour, you die because you actually immediately deteriorate, and then you need help from emergencies and so on. So what we did at that point of time is we actually create a product, a very simple technology product at that point of time that actually press a button, and then it actually calls our center. Our center liaises with the emergency centers, either the police or the ambulance or the firemen, and then we come to actually save you. At that point of time, and this is two very interesting word, phrase in Chinese. Gao Man. Gao Man means I'm in trouble, I'm in emergency, I really need help. This means Ping On, peace. What's the difference? If you know about the history of this product, it actually used to be called emergency bell, but now it's called Ping On Zhou. So peace bell. What's the difference? What's the difference between emergency, which I come to save you, or 平安 peace? Any idea?
It's the emotions associated with it.
The emotions associated are different?
Yeah, like emergency
That was one.
is very alarming and it's very scary. But
It's very scary, right? I mean, I need help.
yeah, the peace is like more
Peace,
of a
right.
positive emotion.
I'm dying. Why talking about these things?
I think it's like just knowing, just the word emergency instills panic inside your head.
Yeah.
But like it's like, okay, like even though you're panicking, but you still say, I'm going to press my peace bell. But if you say, I'm going to press my emergency bell, then suddenly there's panic. I don't know, that's how
That might be true. That might be true. Okay, other guess? Anybody making a guess? In Chinese? 廣東話普通話咩嘅 I can translate. What's the difference? 平安跟救命 Any idea? Fine?
Actually, one is the objective and another one is the result.
One is the objective, the other is the result. Yeah, in a way, yes. And in marketing, it makes a major difference. When we go and talk to the elderly people, they say, I'm not in the emergency. I don't want to be stressed. Don't tell me about these things. Think about your parents. Think about your grandma. I'm never in trouble. I'm no problem. They are in trouble. Help them. Don't help me. I don't need help. But when we look into our big data, when we're talking to these people, we have been serving them for some years now, and then basically after getting a lot of information from them, we actually find that the most important thing that to their mind, it's your grandma will actually say, when you are safe, I'm at peace. When you are safe, I'm safe. So think about, you might not know about this triangle. I think psychology people will know. The Maslow's triangle, I think everybody will actually know the Maslow's triangle, which is, let me search that. So the Maslow's triangle works this way. This is actually a very important chart that actually, everybody knows it, right? This should be in high school or primary school. Okay, this chart is very simple. So yeah, my safety is actually somewhere down there, and physiology is am I physically okay? It's another thing, but self-actualization is really up there, and self-actualization, peace. Knowing that your loved one is actually at peace, it's actually safe. It's not myself, it's loving other people. That's really up there. And that really changed by looking at that and looking at the numbers that we actually look into, we define our product. So we start marketing our product so that we start not thinking about the last minute of the emergency call. It's thinking about how much earlier we might be able to actually detect the problem. By knowing the problem, let's say we actually find out that in Hong Kong, usually in winter, in November or October time, usually the climate changes very, very quickly. And there are nights where the temperature dropped by 5 degrees. Suddenly it dropped by 5 degrees. So actually last week in Shenzhen, the temperature dropped by 10 degrees. And usually that's very, very dangerous. And in the old days, in winter, when the temperature drops, usually it's dry. Now, in this part of the world, it's wet. What happened? Flu are sticky everywhere. So suddenly it's cold. And flu, everybody have flu. I mean, last 3 months, you have seen people next to you, people in dorm getting sick. In winter, usually it's actually dry, so it's okay. But now it's wet and cold. and suddenly being cold. So actually all these are big data. So by looking at that, we start seeing that potentially during those times, the coal actually increase a lot. And then we actually need to save a lot more people. In the old days, 10, 15 years ago, there were only 2 to 3 days of those, usually in fall, in November. But now, not just fall, in February, March, usually you have suddenly up and down. And many people died of pneumonia, of suddenly they slip because of wet, because of flu everywhere. Flu it can be very dangerous for elderly people. Suddenly they have very high fever, and suddenly they die. So because of that, that's a problem that we start seeing. But if we only focus on the emergency call, which is usually when you slip, you have a chance to press a button, you slip already. Most of the people might actually not have the chance to actually press a button. So we won't know. So by looking at that whole process, we move from emergency to peace. And we start looking at the whole process. So now what will we do? With the newer technologies, we change time and space. We know that these weather are coming, so that's very, very dangerous. We know that things are happening. It's like a time tunnel. We know that these people are dying. So instead of waiting for the last 3 minutes to save them, can we help them beforehand? Can you predict that they might be in trouble? But who might be in trouble? How would you know? Any idea? Any suggestions? Technology people, any new technology that might help us? There are all these things called IoT, right? Anybody who don't know what IoT is? Internet of Things, which are the Apple Watch, the sensors, the cameras, the temperature measure, the humidity measures, and so on. So by having those at home, we'd be able to actually know the problem might actually come and potentially prevent it before actually the accident actually appear. We actually also control the ambulance so that we actually arrange the ambulance to be in the dangerous spots earlier, so that the chance of saving people actually improve. So by doing that, we actually use technology to sense or use big data to predict the potential problem, so that we be able to actually save people much earlier, much faster. In one of these nights where the temperature drops more than 5 degrees, normally in this year there are 2 nights like that, and then normally there are 3,000 people that day pressing the button, and then about 1,500 of those we actually need to ship to the emergency room. So we actually save a lot of people through this process. But proactively, instead of they pressing a button, they can still press a button. But let's say he slipped in the back and then not moving. So we know because his heartbeat is actually going very fast or very slow, and then the infrared will actually see that he's not moving in the back. So maybe potentially we actually talk to him through a Alexa type. How are you, Mr. Wong? Are you okay? Talking to him, and then if he couldn't react to it, but we know that he's in the corner, maybe we turn on the video to see if he's there, and if he slipped down, we arrange to say without him pressing the button. So this actually is a new way to actually redesign the whole product, so that we be able to actually save more people. And also, if you look into the news, one of the problems in Hong Kong's news is that we have the emergency room is very, very crowded. So by knowing where they are and then knowing early that what kind of emergency they are with, we actually can go the fast route or the slow route or go into the clinics, so that we be able to actually divert the traffic, so that we be able to actually do something completely different and actually potentially help them before they press the button, before they need to press the button. So that's one tool that we do. And this is a very, very, very successful company. This is a social enterprise. We, for 20-some years, we have been serving anytime 100,000 people in Hong Kong. And then most of them are poor. Most of them are government subsidies. But basically, we use this process to actually do it. We also consult for different cities. We consult for Shenzhen, we consult for Singapore, we consult for Taipei, Seoul, Shanghai, to actually help them build the system, so that we actually do drive. So this is actually a good business. But this is also a social business at the same time. So potentially using technology and using new way to actually solve things, potentially defining it correctly, asking why you actually want to help them, not just save them, but hopefully provide a peaceful city. We'll be able to actually generate this process. And then we never take a penny from the government. Normally, all these work are from the government. The government can sponsor the elderly people, and then but they have the cash. They decide to buy our service. So our product was actually so good that people actually come and actually buy it, and they keep on going. So that's a very important model that we see, that we'll be able to actually use these technologies to actually save people, and at the same time, earning money off it. But this is a non-profit company. So that's one model. Okay? Let me use another model. Okay, another model, it's the one that I was showing on the video. So I actually, in 2010, I actually joined a TV show. It's called Poor Made Rich Made, and then it's still on YouTube, and it's a lot of people actually watch it. It's on TV, and then basically what it does is the first true man show in Hong Kong. So it's a reality show. So what happened is I was the CEO of a public company at that time, and then I actually went to Sunshine Po, which is one of the poorest districts in the world. So they took away all my things, all my wallets and things and so on. They allowed me an iPhone so that I can shoot selfie. I need selfie, otherwise I die. So they allowed me to actually do it. But then basically I need to work 16 hours a day, and then I'm sleeping in a cell. So very bad life. But basically after doing that, I decided that I need to do some good, and then decided to actually go out and actually hopefully potentially do some good to the poor people, especially the kids. So I was thinking, okay, in this new world where everybody is connected, potentially if you are able to actually connect the poor people, they'll be able to actually learn very fast. So even though in Sunshine Po, the poor and the rich, the gap, which is called the Guinness gaps, it's according to the United Nations, it's actually the worst in the world. Actually, the third worst in the world. The worst is actually in Kwai in top 5, 2 of them is actually in Hong Kong. So the richest and the poorest in the same district. So Hong Kong now has the most expensive rents, most expensive land space, but also the poorest people is also there. So this is a major problem. But the potential good education can be an equalizer, so that we can help the poor people getting connected, and then they be able to actually move faster up the ladder to actually do it. Okay. This project is very interesting. This project is with the government. So that year, 2010, I actually was working in the government. We as a social team, and then basically we go to the government and say, why don't we start connecting the people? The company is called 有機上網, 有機上網, which actually means that you have a computer to go online, and after you go online, you have opportunity. Okay, so these numbers are about getting online in Hong Kong. Normally getting online is about $200 Hong Kong at home, the broadband network or the mobile phone SIM card. So it's about $200. So that year, 2010, the government actually decided to actually create this, this is called internet subsidy, to actually help poor people to actually go online. So what they do is they provide $1,300 per year, $1,300 per year, which is about $108 per month. But I just told you, normally going online is about $200. So they need to come up with $100. So the government give them $108, they need to come up with $100. And a lot of people were actually complaining, well, why you're talking to the government, they're willing to give money. Why don't you ask them to actually give $200, $208, instead of asking the poor people to actually come up with money? Any idea why? Normally, when there's some major trouble in the society, you would say the government should pay them. But if the government decides to actually pay the whole thing, they will be in trouble. Any idea why?
To let them value the opportunity instead of getting it directly.
Yes. It's very important, because otherwise it will become a welfare state, meaning we collect tax and give. and collect tax and give. And in a democratic society, people will say, give me money and I'll give. You let me and then I'll give. So if you ask them, if you give them all the money, actually according to economics, the price of network will go up. Because the subsidy, this everybody study that, general studies are common core. This is actually in normal macroeconomics. So when the government want to control price, they subsidize. When they subsidize, the price go up because the expectation of the price actually goes up. So by doing that, it doesn't work, first thing. Second thing, it's very correct, that if we keep on giving money, the poor people just say, yeah, more. And then they don't work. So the system makes people lazy, which is again very, very bad. This $100 is actually very important. There is a Nobel Prize on this. There's a professor called Professor Yunus from Bangladesh. He actually created this. This is called microfinancing. Microfinancing is a new way to look into financing. It's when you lend money to the poor people, and in Bangladesh, that is how they do it. They lend them money, so they give them land so that they can use the money to rent the land. They give them, they teach them how to farm, and then they sell them seed so that they can actually plant. And this is not a gift, this is a loan. So after you do a loan, but after they work hard, they generate income and they pay back. So by giving the loan as a small part, normally if you have good credit according to the bank, they actually lend you money. But when you are very poor, they don't lend you money. But in this case, lending poor people money, give them a hope that they can actually work hard. So to encourage them to actually work hard, by working hard, they actually learn to actually come up. And then by creating that incentive, starting with why, you are not trying to actually eliminate the poverty by just giving money. Because if you just keep on doing it, poverty level will actually go up. But if you actually help them turn the tide by giving them hope, that if they work very hard, they'll be able to actually have this network. So after I talked to the government, I went back to actually talk to some of the poor people, and they said, Mr. Wong, don't treat us like slaves or beggars. We are not beggars. These are my kids. If they want to go online, I would rather not eat some lunchbox so that they be able to actually go online. So we talked to them, and then they convinced me that this is about 3 lunchbox. That if they are able to actually eat 3 less lunchbox, matching with the government funding, so $108 plus $100, and $108 plus $100, then they can go online, but they don't have a computer. Sorry for the Chinese way. So this is up. The Chinese is up network. So this is going online, right, Xiaowang? But they don't have a computer. This actually is so they don't have a computer to go online. So even though $208 they have money to actually go online, they are not able to actually go because they don't have a computer to do it. So again, let's see. The government gives $108. They come up with $100. And our name is actually, we have a computer to actually go online. So this model, so where does the computer come from? It's actually interesting. This is a very interesting app that I can keep on showing you these numbers. So 108 plus 100, 108 plus 100 for $208, they get to go online, and then we provide them an iPad mini. This, according to Apple, this is the lowest cost iPad that you can actually get. So, but you're thinking, you're talking about economics. How does this work? $208 that only cover a month's network. How do you actually give a computer for free? This I need to explain. This is a very interesting model. So what happened? This is a very interesting sector in the market. Nobody's in marketing today, so let me explain. There are different people in the and let's say Hong Kong Telecom. Hong Kong Telecom it's the one that actually I work on with this project. So they're very large. Everybody is their client. So rich people, poor people, they provide the network, and then they provide for $208. So, but for the poor people, it's very hard to actually work with them because if if they have money, they pay you. If they don't have money, they say, I don't have money, so cut my line. I'll throw away the box. And then cut my line, something like that. So these people are very hard to deal with because their income is actually not very steady. And for Hong Kong Telecom, it's very hard because they need to chase people, chase poor people for money. Not very good for your PR. And so guess what they do? So for 1 month, if the poor people don't give them money, they will not cut the line. So for 2 months they might, but actually for 4 months they will actually cut. Because for 4 months that's 208 times 4, that's about $800. And then the box is about $200. And then sending somebody to actually sort it out, it's about $300. So about $600 for them to actually come to sort it out. And then they lost a client, they lost the box, they lost the money. So it's not a very good thing for them. So it's called bad debt in the normal business. So what we do, it's like this. Instead of dealing with 200,000 of these families, I become a single largest buyer. So I talked to the government. The government gave us $100 million in the bank, and I'm backed by the government. So I went to this Hong Kong Telecom, and I say, well, instead of dealing with 200,000 people, why not deal with one person, one company? And that company had money in the bank, 100 million, and I also have money with the government. So the government will actually back me to actually do. So they say, yeah, that's good. So I asked them to actually do it this way. Normally when you buy your network, let's say you buy your mobile, you buy 4 gigs, 2 gigs or something like that. At that point in time we're talking about 300 megs. So people buy 300 megs for $208. But the problem is, just like you using your mobile, even though you buy your 4 gigs, you don't use up the 4 gigs. You use 2 gigs maybe. So 2 gigs are not used and then cannot be moved to the next month. So you are wasting those resources. And network is a very interesting resource. You don't use it this month, it won't be saved for next month. So it's gone, it's perishable. So what I asked them to do is, I become the single largest owner, client of yours, and I have 200,000 customers, but they all have small bottle of water. They buy what I only want to buy from you what we use. So this one use 100 meg, that one use 200 meg, that one use 400 meg, but average it's actually below 300. So by doing that, we'll be able to actually negotiate the price down, first thing. Second thing, since I'm backed by the government and I have money, so I won't bet that. So when you charge me and you calculate how much I actually use, I will pay you for that. So there's no bet that. So by doing that, I go and negotiate, and from $208 we negotiate down. Make a guess how much we actually get it for. 150, almost 50, almost 25% off. Lower. More? Any idea?
50.
Huh? 90? That's not very hard. 50 is very hard. We actually get down to $69. So from $208, we'd be able to actually lower to $69, which is ridiculous. I think we lowered the price by 150 something, $140, sorry. $140. So when they join us, you join a network for a year or 2 years, they join for 2 years. So when they join us for 2 years, the government gives them $1,300 times 2. $1,300 times 2, so which is $2,600. They gave us overtime, $100 times 24. But I save $140 per month. Times 24 months, how much is that? 2,800. Go to Apple Store. Check how much is this thing. This is ridiculous. This is a very interesting thing where we actually been able to actually make. Well, if they really insist, they can get an Android, but nobody can Android obviously. Or if they really insist, they can get Windows, but most people get I. Anyway, so by doing that system, we negotiate package. It's called crowdsourcing. we use the whole team to actually buy together. It's also called sharing economy, because to Hong Kong Telecom, the network, extra network is actually not waste. We only buy what we want. But by saving them on the first line support, they'd be able to save a lot of money by doing that. Only software do it. So they write software and actually create the process. And then we actually loan the money so that when you join us, we give you the admin and the network for 2 years. As long as you come in on using it for 2 years. But it's for school use. So very likely they will use it for 2 years anyway. So every 2 years they have a chance to actually change to a new device, because this is actually something they buy. So using this completely new model, we'll be able to actually create the internet and the network together to actually, as a whole bundle, to actually do it. Again, these are very smart negotiation technique, very smart software, very smart new model of sharing the economy. But again, what we are doing is we are, starting with why, again, what we are doing is we are delivering social impact. We connect people. So in 2010, when we first launched this program, 85% of Hong Kong's internet, Hong Kong's family are connected. Meaning 100 family, 85 of them are connected. We are very good. We are in the top 10. And meaning, let's say in a class of 40, 6 people will not have network. That's good or bad. That's good compared to Pakistan, but that's no good because then people are still not connected. But in 4 years, when I retire from this project, the project is still running. It's 2014, 2015. The number goes to 96, from 85 to 96. Meaning basically everybody is connected, because every year there are about 2% of people coming in to the new market. So it's like unemployment. So basically, we actually connect everybody by using that process. So if you're a Hong Kong student, in the last few years, everybody is connected. Everybody get their device, and then poor and rich, and then they are all connected and actually move on to actually do it. So this is the second model which I talk about. The first model is marketing and positioning using new technology like IoT and big data. The second project is to use new model to relook at how value can actually be distributed, and when we use that to actually create potential success. Okay, the third project. This is very new. This is called Social Career. Social Career is a new project. It's only 2.5 years old. It's one of the newer social enterprises that I have started, backed by Jockey Club. If you're interested later on, we can talk about having funding. How do we do funding? The first project, as you will remember, the first project we do it ourselves. We never take any money from anybody. We actually do a very good product and we sell it, and then we get money back. The second project is all government funding, so we actually use government funding. This project is funded by Jockey Club, which is a major charity. So what we do is this. This concept is like this. Everybody have their career: accounting, psychology, teaching, engineering, and so on. So your main career. But we really believe that everybody should have a second career, a parallel career. And normally we actually call it the social career, where you, instead of just working, you should have something that you care. I care about, let's say, I personally care about youngsters. I care about kids. I care about them, and I want them to be happy. I want them to have good education and so on. There are people that care about pets, maybe dogs, cats. There are people that care about gender. There are people that care about elderly people, poor people, and so on. So there might be social things that you actually care about. We encourage people to actually do that because it's a good balance of life. So what happened is everybody is, other than you have your LinkedIn, which is just your business career, you can create another career, which is your social career. So what we do here is like this. We actually use the power of sharing, and then what we do is we actually create a social career, a social CV, which actually shows that I care about kids. So what I do is I actually go and actually do different volunteering work. So this actually now is the largest volunteering system in Hong Kong. In only 2.5 years, we have 60,000 people, and then it's an app, and then the app allows people to actually build their own career. Let's say if it's CityU, let's say you might have to do service learning and so on. So you need to report on your hours, how many hours you have done for doing your studies and so on. So this system will actually go to all the NGOs. Now we're working with 550 NGOs, which is almost everybody. And then at any time, if you go online, let me show you online. Anytime it's an app, so you can download it from iOS or Android. And anytime when you go online, they have all these different projects. There are 2,000 of these projects at any one point. So if there are things that you want to do and help, let's say this one. I want to help kids to do rollerblades. So it's very busy because it's next week. And then out of 20 potential participants, only 4 left. So 16 have been taken. So it will be next week for 3 to 10 hours in Tanchi Hall. So you can actually say, I actually want to volunteer for this event. There are all these events that's online, and you can choose what you care about. This might be a district. This might be, these are the sustainable development goals. I care about peace, justice, and strong institute. I want to be a mentor. I care about no poverty, and so on. So after you choose that, you can come in and say, oh, okay, I come in and say, okay, I want to join this. So after you join, you can come in and actually say, okay, these are things I want to join, and these are the slots. That's the area. And I can say I want to help. So you can actually join as a volunteer to actually help out. So we actually do it to encourage everybody to become a volunteer. And then we're now working with all the large banks, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and so on. I actually own this. And then they encourage all their employees to actually work on this. And then now we're working with the universities, so that the university install the system. They encourage all the students to actually do it. So suddenly, we become the largest social system with all the people that are willing to do volunteering work. And it's not just volunteering. If you care about the elderly people, we provide training. So that why we provide training, let's say first aid for elderly people. Or maybe you can watch this TED Talk. You can watch those talks or something like that. We have all these people that sponsors people to actually learn better, to actually deliver good volunteering. So this model, it's a very interesting model. We are only 2.5 years old, but we are the largest player in the territory already. We are 4 times larger than the largest NGO already. So very short period of time, we have this viral, we use social media, we use crowdsourcing and big data to actually identify the potential. And now we're matching jobs through deep learning. So the whole process using newer technology to actually generate potential resource to actually help the society that we can work on. So this actually is another project where this is very new, using newer technology, very computer science oriented, big data type thing. And then now these are API oriented. So when you're doing different works, you can actually call our system, and then we can provide people and numbers, so that these people can actually come and actually work with you and so on. This would grow into a charity donation model also, so that we can generate resource, so that everybody can start their own social innovation, because they have a resource like people. They have knowledge, people with knowledge, they have people with skills, and then people that are willing to actually donate, to actually work on it. So this is a very interesting model where it's an app, but the app is actually it's actually designed so that it be able to actually deliver the social CD and actually social impact immediately. So that's also a very interesting model that we see when we actually use the technology to actually do it. So in summary, I would like to bring up a few things. One is that innovation is not just for money. Innovation can be for all kinds of value. And then even when you're driving it for money, you should think about why you're actually doing it, so that potentially that all those have positive social impact. But these are projects very different. This is for younger people, for volunteering. This is for older people. This is for kids. And then all these can be using different model. Can be technology-oriented model like the big data stuff, AI stuff. can be a sort of sharing economy type model, which is like the Airbnb type way to actually work it out, to actually create these models that we can actually deliver. But the potential of actually using the technology or innovation to actually do it is actually key. And that's the model that we are sharing today. So I will open up, maybe we can actually have some more discussions.
Yes. Sorry, I came late.
No, it's fine, it's fine. Yeah, thank you very much, thank you very much.
Are you guys enjoying the session today? Erwin, I think the second part is really Q&A. I find you are a very interesting person. I always learn things from you, no matter when. So you know, Erwin is now an associate professor in the UST in engineering, right?
In engineering and business, I basically handle all the entrepreneurship.
So two departments, okay? So Erwin, you mentioned about like a social career. Do you think in the future, every student, they really need to have this kind of a social career instead of just having their own major, the CV?
Of course, it's all slash, right? You're just not just the accountant. You should have IG shops and you should be doing good at the same time, right? So, but
He wants to be a pilot, for example.
Or a pilot, yeah. Being a pilot, you can deliver all sorts of goods at the same time. So these are actually very good systems that allows people to actually do it.
Right. One thing that I want to ask you is, you're doing so many things. How do you manage your time? And do you, at some point, you give up something? Do you?
It's interesting. People, when they talk about, when I was the CEO for the jewelry company, and I joined the show, and then I resigned as a CEO, and people were saying, did you give up a lot of stuff? Well, that year I gave up about $7 million salary, that 1 year. But then I don't think I really give up because I actually move up the ladder. Right. I move up the Maslow triangle to actually get to the actualization point, where I do more good and create more value instead of just money to the society than instead of just to myself. So I think I actually do better that way by investing my time and talent.
So you think the world shouldn't be quantified by the amount of money?
Not just money. Money is important, but not just money. And then it's the amount of happiness, it's the amount of good health, it's the amount of good neighborhood, caring. And I think we earn money so that we hopefully go home and so that we have a good home. And then so that we can have a good neighborhood and then we have a good country. But if we only know about chasing money, you forget about the whole thing. Yeah, and you damage what you try so hard to build.
Your time.
Okay.
Yes, Bohemia.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing, Professor Huang. And I can really feel the power of technology because it talks about a lot of social projects that I really feel that the connection between technology, people, and also society. Then at the beginning, and then you mentioned the why. Yeah, you asked the question why, and I want to know the why. When have you been started thinking about the why? When you were young?
When you were a university student?
Yes.
Yes, actually. When I'm second year, when I'm a sophomore in university, I was actually in LA in a very small university, and I have this calling. I think finding your calling is very important. Where you want to go, what direction you want to go. Calling is not necessarily a career. It's not necessarily a job. It's I want to love and be loved. And I think that's something that I learned at that point in time. Sounds scary, sounds embarrassing, but that drives my whole life. So by doing that, I work hard, but I have a direction. But finding that direction is so important. Finding that direction helps you optimize, and then you know something you don't want to do. And then you prioritize what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And it's about your time. It's about my second, third year. And I was lost at that point of time. I was thinking, because I'm a very good student, and then my father sent me to this very small school in LA. I get to Berkeley, and then very good school. And then somehow he said, Berkeley is not for you. So actually, my parents knows each other in Berkeley, so somehow I should go there. UC Berkeley in California, in San Francisco. And then, but he said, no, go to LA, go to this school, which is very small, about 2,000 people. And it's so it's a liberal arts school, so it's all liberal arts. So I was thinking I can either be a good engineer or I can be a good businessman or both. But over there it's so difficult. You need to finish all the writings of Plato, which is supposedly the first philosopher, Greek philosopher, in 3 days. So and then finish all the books and finish all these things within a very short period of time. It's so difficult. So I can't get lost. And but that's the time when I find what I really want to find. It's I know that all these are less important, and I find why I should be a person, and then why I should work hard. So because of that, and this is a popular time, and it never changed. I think Ray knows me well. I went to a new city every 5 years. I join a new industry every 5-6 years, usually making major impact on those industries.
Aaron always travel to very cool places like Finland, like Japan. Those places I love to go.
I go to places where I want to, firstly because there are good food and good stuff in Japan, and then and I want to chase the aurora in Finland, so I went 3 times so that I can learn how the Finnish education can actually work. So I study more, I dig into the deep part of the country so that I can go and enjoy it. And then in 2 weeks I'll chase the route of Da Vinci. I'll go to 5 cities where Da Vinci was it. So I was chasing it. But all those I chase all those because I want to keep on knowing how to love people and how to be loved. I think that's something that's very, very important.
Yeah, how to love people. Yeah. Any second questions?
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, I'm very interested in mini iPad for children. Since recently, I read an article holding an opinion that current generation is destroying by their mobile phone, especially for children from poor families, because their parents may not have sufficient knowledge or time to take care of them or guide them to the correct direction. So have you ever thought of this problem and how to deal with it?
It's the question is it's about giving them a computer so they become addicted.
Yes.
They might be bullied or they might be bullying people, and that they might be cheated online, and that they read all these fake news about Donald Trump or whatever and so on. So should we not give them the computer? I think that's something. This whole process I've been through a lot. And it's called inclusion. And being inclusive is very important. If they are outside, they don't have the chance. And I really believe in the learner, which can be very small or can be university people. So you want to empower them so that they have a chance to actually be connected. If I don't allow you let's say, the chance to be connected, you find a way to be connected anyway, and you don't listen to me anymore. So by providing that chance, that's one thing. But that's only connectivity. Inclusion are 3 levels. Connectivity is the first one. Second level is accessibility. Accessibility meaning you connect them, but let's say these are elderly people, these are kids. They don't know how to use it. Or these are hearing impaired or seeing impaired people. So the system can actually allow them to actually be accessible. But the third part is the one that you talk about most important. The third layer is literacy. And if we don't connect them, we won't be able to tell them how to use it for good, or how to avoid using it for bad. So that process is very important. So what I did is after 4 years of working on I started moving on to work on some of my new projects, which one of my new projects called Dream Starter. And then we use the network to actually teach new ways of learning. So we teach kids to dream. They can dream of all kinds of things, but we guide them and work with them to actually allow them to do it. But without these connecting to all these potential resources, they won't be able to do it. But by doing that, they learn to control. And only then they can learn self-control. If your parents say, don't do it, you go and do it. You sneak in the back and actually go and do it. But if we untie playing with the iPad can be learning, can be playing. then you don't think that normally in families, you finish your homework, then you have your iPad. So the teaching, it's iPad, it's paid. But well, connecting can be learning. Learning can be fun. Learning should not always be unhappy. So I think that process, after we mix it up, we can work on the literacy part. And I agree, it's difficult, but we don't. I actually went on TV having a debate on this, and I was saying you don't, not because one person misused it, you don't do it. So rather you design a system so that hopefully they be able to actually use it better. Yeah, I think empowerment, again, it's about love. You empower them instead of controlling them. And they learn, hopefully they learn to control themselves. Yeah, good.
I want to, before we ask the last question, I want to elaborate two more aspects that I learned from Erwin. He just mentioned about the dream starter. Okay, you may have heard about this name, maybe he's putting this in the slide. But this project is actually influencing many students. Okay, I'll give you one example. Last year, I think there was like 3 or 5 schools in Hong Kong, something like that, right? But this year is talking about like 20 schools, for example. And they're trying to change the way the primary school are teaching. Imagine, one school is influencing like 500 to 1,000 children, okay, and they need to learn, take the lesson from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. And then what they're trying to do is that they change the way to do. In the afternoon, they don't need to teach the traditional way. They need to have a new way of learning. And you know, what he's doing is really a radical change in the education. It's something, you know, there are a lot of bureaucratic issues. We need to follow what has been done. And you know, in this big system, you need to change. It's super difficult, and I learned through it. And that's why I really admire what Erwin is doing. He's really connecting people, trying to create value, trying to help the people. I think this is number one. Number two, I managed to join him and serve in a committee called the Food Code. I think some of you may have heard about there are lots of food waste problem, and people they're trying to come up with a new way to get back those uncooked raw food and then put it back to a factory. I mean, those kitchen, they can cook a lot of food and then they can provide the food for the needies, including elderly or whatever people. And that kind of project is actually create a big fuss and impact to the society. I still remember like 2 weeks ago, my wife just told me that she go to visit a food court kitchen. And then I told her that, hey, do you know your husband me? I'm actually serving this project. So I'm telling you, you need to think about what the project you're doing. Today we may be a organizer OC in the hall, or you are organizing this special talk. You are learning how to become a leader. But at some point you need to become something really big. And what Erwin is telling us is he's creating a big impact to the society and helping a lot of people. And that's why, and also using technology. Okay, because I think the world has been changed a lot. In the old days, when we don't have the internet, people were very localized. Indian student, Chinese student, you don't see each other. But today, there are lots of connections like internet. I see there are more and more conflict. And how do we actually address this conflict? I think Erwin already mentioned the love issue, I don't know, so many things we need to learn. Anyway, so last question. Yes.
This question is a bit sharp.
Yes, sure.
Please be sharp.
Because I know that you have joined the TV program. I don't know how to say the name. Yes. I don't know the English actually.
Yeah, what language?
Yes, you speak Mandarin, maybe we can translate it.
Anyway, you guys know the program. The poor.
哪个部？
哪个部长？重复用大作战那个。
对。
Oh, okay. So there's he was a rich guy. He's a rich guy, and he tried to pretend to be a poor guy.
And he is actually a very successful guy, and he's like in the program he has to be.
I think you know I know Simon, but Erwin also with Simon joined the same TV program.
Oh yes, I know.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked him.
Okay, so please go ahead.
Actually, in Chinese internet society, like a Weibo, you know. Yes. Yeah, people say like after they watching this kind of program, they say it's very hard to break the classification of people, like especially in Hong Kong, like very developed place. You do many things for poor people. Do you think you can really change them? or you can like help them to like branch to the next level of life or something.
Yeah, good point. Good point. In a very simple way to put it, can poverty be eliminated? Can we win the war if we are fighting poverty? Poverty is an enemy. Don't think Americans are enemy, don't think Chinese are enemy. Let's say poverty. It's an enemy because it's very bad. And can we fight a war that wins? I think that's a very tough question. In the Bible, even 2,000 years ago, even Jesus said, this is not a war that can be won. In Chinese, many philosophers again also say that it's not, because rich and poor, it's relative. But in our case, in Hong Kong, it's worse because the bar is actually very, very far. But I think the key is obviously we don't have the ability to actually save or give money to everybody, because just giving money, as we said, just giving money would make them poor because they would be lazy. So is there a way that we actually drive it? The way I see it is if we are able to to encourage them to have an upward mobility, meaning you might be poor, but your kids have a chance to actually move up. And when they work hard, when they study well, they get into university, and potentially they become successful. And we see many of those. Most of the rich people now in China and in Hong Kong, one generation ago, they are not very rich. So potentially. But the filthy rich are very dangerous. So we don't talk about the 1% that owns 90%. 1%, 2% of people owns 50% of the world's wealth. So that's unfair. And then they are creating a system to actually make it even more unfair because they elect the president. They create corruption. And they own the place so that you cannot pay with it. So the unfairness is there. But one thing is how do you fight unfairness, but to me, unfair or not fair has nothing to do with love. I focus on the loving people, and hopefully they be loved. So let's say they focus on what they do, and they see the potential. Let's say that one person that saved $100 to actually get online, potentially see their kid when they get a chance. So it's not the government keep on giving you money, or Marriott giving you money, or Amazon giving you money. It's actually you're working hard for your own good. And that's hope. And I don't think that poverty can be won, but giving hope, it's the key. And giving hope, frankly, that journey, I think is more important than the end. Because if you give hope, they have a good life. Even though they might be poor in money, but they might have a family. They might know how to love each other. Is it worse, or those rich people that don't know how to love each other? I don't know. So what's more important, again, it's not, when you look at the triangle, if you don't have anything to eat, that's a problem. But when you get to a certain point, how do you get to the actualization? That's more important. And that's something I think everybody should think about. It's not fighting the war to beat poverty. It's more to give hope to more people. And I think giving hope to more people, that's very important. And there is a thing called butterfly effect. If you are able to actually change one person, and then the world becomes a better place. And I think that alone is actually the key.
Thank you so much, Erwin, for inspiring all of us tonight. We know the time is running out, so if you have a question, you can ask offline. And I would like to ask you all to give another big round of applause to Erwin for his wonderful tonight. And I just want to say he's a super busy person, coming all the way from maybe today somewhere, not UST, but we just want to give you guys an open mind-blowing session. You can do a lot of service. Number one, I want to mention, doing service is good, but we need to know why we are doing this and how we can actually create the impact. And also, you need to learn how much we can do next. Okay, so with that, I would like to ask if we can